Good afternoon, Chardon High School. Earlier in the past hour, I sent an email to all students and I also sent it to all parents. And it went directly to our senior class, one specific letter, and another one went to grades 8 through 11. This afternoon, I want to focus on the letter that went out to grades 8 through 11 because it does encompass all the senior events. Who would have thought that a month has almost passed and I've been living behind the screen just like you have, and you've been waiting for the latest up-to-date information about not only just your life, but your son or daughter's school. And I can only say on behalf of Mr. Heim and Mr. Bandera how much we miss seeing you guys, how this has been very difficult for all of us, and you know how much we care about you. Um, this letter that I wanted to put a voice over is going to help articulate some of the things that you can't put just in words and or can get misconstrued. So I want to talk to you a little bit about what's in here so that you have a good understanding, because in the spirit of what we practice at Chardon High School is to provide another delivery model so that all people can understand what's going on. Well, in this letter, we talk about a lot of events because that's what's in a lot of our students' minds. What's happening with? What are we doing with? And so instead of missing any beats, we wanted to make sure we covered as much as we know at this time. Yesterday, the OHSAA wrote a memo that went out to all member schools. Inside of that memo, they put out very strong bullet points on their plan, their tentative plan, in the case that we are able to reacclimate after May 1st. Inside of that plan, you will see that they put together a sports schedule. The sports schedule is much longer than initially anticipated when they built the original schedule, but I wanted to make sure you saw this. Anything can change at any moment. Whenever the governor speaks, we are certainly glued to it, just like as a citizen of this great state, to all superintendents, all principals, all teachers are wondering what's happening next. I don't have a crystal ball on sports. We know what other schools are doing in other states. And you only can kind of lean that we might be heading in that direction. But as of this day, we know that they do have a plan for moving forward if we have the opportunity to do so. OHSA put together that plan in this document for you that I summarized. Also, a lot of people have wondering about Winter Sports Awards. Right when this all began, we had scheduled Winter Sports Awards and we had to postpone them. We haven't created a new date for this. However, it's really important that you know that all the awards that your son or daughter has or will receive, they will receive them at the next time that we do see them. Certainly, the greatest thing we could do is hold an event, but again, we have to follow the governor's direction, and that kind of relates to the spring musical. It's still postponed. We have not said it's not happening. It's still postponed. And we will work with Mr. Strife and all of the directors after the governor's mandate if we are able to deliver this in the same way, or we have to come with a creative way of delivering this performance, because we know how hard that they have worked on this. Mr. Hurlbut has been working hard with College Board in regards to the AP tests. What's really important about the AP test is that you look at this clearly if your son or daughter is in an AP class, because they create very attainable means for students to not only take the test with validity, but also have the opportunity to use their resources. It's a very interesting format that they're following. If you have any questions on the AP test, feel free to reach out to your teacher and Mr. Hurlbut, who will answer any of those questions. I have all the dates posted here. Many students have been asking, what are we doing with final exams? And the best way to say a response is that we're not having them. We will not have final exams. If there are certain events that are related to a final exam, like senior projects and or performance-based assessments, they're going to be rolled into the fourth quarter. Speaking of grading, I've been working at length with our staff over how we grade the fourth quarter in this virtual academy. Students are going to be evaluated with traditional grades, and the staff know what that means in assessment practices. We are asking our staff at this time to certainly mark things accurately and be very timely with their responses. And if a student happens to have something missing, mark missing, but then say the student can receive full credit once it's turned in. Students should not be receiving any points taking off for work being submitted, quote, late. The staff know this and it's really important that they're working with students. Imagine being on the other side of this. We have over 1,200 students, and inside of 100 and probably 50 sections, and every single day different numbers of kids show up and different number of kids have different situations going on in their life, and then we know who those kids are because they contact us, and then we have to reach out to those students and parents and try, and the list just keeps on growing. I'm really proud of our students. We have had such great accuracy with students coming in and doing their work that we want to reward them for the work that they're doing and not penalize them for anything that they might have been struggling with. And that's the key indicator, that no student's grade should be impacted because of the virtual academy that we're having in the fourth quarter. And the staff know that. So we will then take 4 quarters to measure a student's grade, with the fourth quarter being a virtual academy, which will be assessed a little bit differently towards standards-based grading. So it's a little bit more based on how the students are actually doing and completing and assessing their work. So our grades should not be impacted at all. They actually will not be impacted when this goes out. And as a matter of fact, they'll probably only get better because of this. We do not want anyone's grades to be impacted in a negative way. If you have any questions on that, certainly your teachers can answer it directly. For any event that we had scheduled, like concerts and field trips, and for another take is state testing, all of our concerts, field trips, and our state testing are canceled for the duration of the school year. That means that if we do return May 4th, we will not have those events scheduled. Due to the fact that it will be within a few weeks, then we'll be closing up the school year, and there's a lot of things that we need to do. I apologize on that, but we have to do what's right for your safety, and certainly follow the governor's direction. And that goes into like Chromebook collection, locker cleanup. We don't have a plan yet. We do need to come up with a plan, but we will not come up with that plan until we know when we can actually get into that building. As for the junior and senior prom, we still have the original date scheduled. It has not changed. We do have a makeup date for July 10th. That'll be the same day that prom and after prom would take place. Again, this is all on paper scheduled today. Things can happen tomorrow. Things can change, but it's our intention to preserve this valuable experience for our students. Senior specific things, which is really important also. All of our students that have valedictorian status or salutatorian status, and that is our students that have had all A's throughout the duration of their high school career. I decided to end at the semester that status. So if you were a valedictorian all the way up into the end of the second quarter and you are still a valedictorian, you're a valedictorian. I'm not using the third and fourth quarter, nor a final that we're not having, to impact you. So congratulations, you should know who you are. Our valedictorians are set, and our salutatorian is set, which would be our second in class based on cumulative GPA. So that should relieve a lot of stress on some of our students. As for senior awards, they are still scheduled. If we cannot have that date, we will deliver in a different model for our students, because that is a really meaningful event. We haven't determined how, but we will deliver it in a different way, such as a virtual event. The same goes for baccalaureate. We will work with the Chardon United Methodist Church, who we have a great relationship with, and we will consider another way to deliver a baccalaureate. Senior picnic is still scheduled. All these things are still scheduled. It's a matter of how we will deliver these things, much as the senior picnic. Don't know how, don't know when, but we will come up with a way that we can make this happen. Now, the most important thing is for our students is graduation. We still have it scheduled. It's nice that it is in the end of next month, so hopefully we have a little bit more wiggle room. But if there are some regulations on social gatherings, we have to follow those things. What we will do, if we cannot have it that day, is that we will most likely pull it back to a safe date at Chardon Memorial Field. And as Miss Grantham indicated, it would be the first time since 1987 that we had a graduation on our field. I'm not saying that's going to be the plan. I'm just saying that that would be the most conducive plan, because we can decide when we're doing that once the governor tells us. Certainly there's other ideas out there, but those are the ones that we're going to state at this time. If you have any questions or concerns, certainly reach out to us, your guidance counselors, your principals, your teachers. I had, I think, close to 87 staff members in a meeting today. They all heard the same message. We all know how hard they're working, how hard you're working, and we know how stressful this is. Take care of yourself as we transition into this weekend of celebrating, for many of you, Passover and Easter. I know you'll be with your family, so celebrate that and celebrate the simple things this weekend. In a little bit, we'll have our podcast. Today, it's going to be very simple. It's going to be Mr. Bandera, myself, and Mr. Heim, and we'll close out this week. Again, if you need anything, make sure you go back to that calendar to see that we are off on not only Friday for Good Friday, but also Easter Monday, and we'll be back at it on Tuesday with a White Day schedule. Have a great weekend.